And you're telling me you can't make your own shoes on trade? What? It's like a place where there's even more resources. Huh? But I don't get this. But it's cheaper to buy, but that doesn't mean you can't make them. But that's the... Like, I mean, but that's just trade. Trade always circumvents everything, which is why it's like, but okay, then then you ask, well, how do we make... Because at the end of the day, the answer to Grimwar's question is, make trade worse. Like, there's this expectation right now that I need to aug fizz to be able to further my gameplay. It's like, you don't. You think you do, but you don't. That's like the type of item that needs that kind of crafting is so high up on the echelon of power that it is completely unnecessary to deal with 99.9% of the game.
Transparent with communication and come on the podcast and talk about changes we're making. The way the end game works is probably going to be safe for the announcement. That's one we have to sort out without community feedback because we've heard a lot of feedback and we want it to be a surprise and we want it to be compelling and awesome.
Nice.
So,
I like
317, here is how the new end game works. It's going to happen probably on a live stream announcement thing. I'll be wearing fancier clothes. You get the idea.
Woo! Nice.
You can be in my office. It will be more of a big announcement because we'll be quite confident in that system at that stage. The other reason is this is a process that we're going through at the moment, trying to work out how the end game works. And we're being really careful to consider a lot of options, right? Like we know this is the most important thing for us to design. Screwing up the end game here will kill Path of Exile. There is a lot of pressure on this. We're taking our time to do it well. And we're confident,
Nice.
right? There's a lot of good ideas we've had in the past, not spoiling any now, that we're quite keen to do, both from, compelling and interesting boss fights and enemies and ways of progressing in the end game. There are bits and pieces coming in 316 that we've already talked about, and a few more that we haven't talked about, which will help endgame progression quite a lot.
Once you have acquired a fully upgraded Atlas, you can run the exact map you want, even on SSF. Like, remember BPL? And I talked to my team, I was like, I'm generating all these T16 maps in Lex Proxima. And they're like, wait, but you're running Lyra, and you're running Plateaus? Yeah, I'm sustaining both. And I'm like, wait, what? How are you? Because, I got to the point of juice to where I just got, like, I favored two sides. They're fine. Like, any Proxima maps were fine. And, I had, like, the plateau unlocked. And I was running, like, there was, like, plateau and, like, a couple other maps. Every now and then I had to, like, jump out of it. But for the most part. But that was only because I was finding a full other region. I was finding a full other region of maps as well that I was trading off. And I didn't even have a perfect atlas. And I could have juiced even more. So this idea that you can't, like, that somehow players are just going to run the map over and over again. Well, they are at the very top end.
Corpse rushing is not good content for anyone.
Okay, fair enough. That I misunderstood how people are surviving in Delve, but there is a limited amount of build variety there, right? Like,
agreed. 100%.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Chat says Chris here thinking deep delve is depth 50. There we go.
Just to summarize, the deep delve builds run around with Chaos Inoculation, about 50 life, and 3 billion damage, and they just don't get hit and one-shot everything. That's how they do it.
Yeah.
Right.
And
because
they
of
freeze and run fast.
Yeah. So philosophically, though, if we have something like deep delve, you're going to have builds that are relatively narrow. You don't get the ability to really engage with the content as much.
Build should be able to do some of the highest end content with no gear. Are you really going to argue that? In an ARPG? You know what the rest of your content is going to look like then, right? Like, Chain Hook can do it, but Chain Hook is like one of the more memey things, and it's probably tough. You can do it, but that's a tough one, sure.
For Orobots in 316, the players would say, can you not read Reddit? You must fix Orobots. And so that had to go on the list. And the only reason for us considering not doing it isn't balance reasons, but just because there's a lot of stuff to change in Path of Exile, and we have to pick a subset of it.
Right.
In fact, one problem we've been running into internally recently, well, let's describe two problems. The first one is the players give a lot of feedback after 3.15, and we feel we have to respond to that feedback and make sure the players feel that we're improving those parts of the game, right? Like we really screwed up with a lot of 3.15 stuff, and that's not good, and we want to earn the trust back. We want to make a lot of changes. And so we've expanded 3.16 to include all of the stuff ranging from defenses through to the second flash rework and so on. And this is all good. It's going to help the game. We feel we're earning the trust back for the players.
Yes.
It's a good direction to be going. We've got aspirational content for the end game. There's a whole bunch of stuff in 3.16, which makes 3.16 kind of the largest expansion we've had to put together for a long time, to the point where we're looking, how are we going to get this done in time? It's a tricky one. And then New Zealand got its long COVID lockdown because we're like 18 months behind the rest of the world due to being on a small island. We're putting a lot of microtransaction work into something that only one player gets to have, as it were. It's more that you take, this is a lame example, and it's because all the examples are lame that we haven't done this. But for example, I take a shield, and it counts how many times I've blocked or something like that. You know, a thing that we can track with your items, how many times you crit with whatever, and you just grind the hell out of it for that particular item. And there's some leaderboard of this. And we thought, until we come up with a good idea for what's actually fun to track there's no point in doing this, because the number of times you blocked or whatever is pretty lame, because you can just like AFK and a bunch of monsters.
I actually kind of think that's pretty funny. That's the kind of stuff I would pay for, because it's completely pointless, and therefore it's fun. Like that's the stuff I would pay for. Actually, that I wouldn't have a problem with that pointless stuff. Just for fun stuff. So tough because they're really hard to roll. Melee is really good. There's barely any melee builds that are not good to level. Like barely any. Unless you do some kind of like, I want to do Vigilant Strike and only Vigilant Strike, but I have no endurance charge generation. It's like, okay bro, that's on you.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. And the team likes to pick things like handcasting and then go nuts with it for an expansion in terms of making it better.
I mean, Heavy Strike is just an annoying skill to use. Frostblade's damage is shit. It's on the lower end, I would say. On the single target, I would agree with that. It's on the lower end. But it's not impossible. I mean, it's often my starting skill. And then I swap into Lightning Strike most of the time. But yeah, I mean, Frostblades is a little low. And you kind of need the jewel that comes later. And then it becomes pretty good.
First is make the campaign good. We don't like giving up on stuff, right? We don't want to just not try to improve it and just throw it away. So maybe if this fails 5 years from now in Path of Exile 2, if people are, you know, finding that campaign repetitive by that point and we don't have Path of Exile 3 ready or whatever we're doing after that, then we can look at alternative things. But this is a long way away. We have a lot of plans in the meantime. And that was not an announcement of a sequel that doesn't exist to a sequel that isn't out, by the way.
Yep. I guess we'll just throw in
What?
Okay.
What are you doing, Gassy? Fix it. Fix it.
Hold up.
Come on.
What just happened?
Hello. Is this live or what? Come on, man. But I mean, is that really that big of a deal, sir? Sir, when you have things that have been untouched for like 8 years, sir, that you have to touch them twice? Come on.
It's not a particularly good process. I say that though, and the teams still go and buff the stuff that needs buffs. So I think I'm just
Nugi is a Karen.
probably better off leaving them to do what they do.
I will be a Karen on this. This is a hot topic for me. Okay, just call me whatever you want, but this respectfully, sir, I will be aggro on this because I've had to hear this line of like reasoning for so many years, and it's annoying. Market have a tradable equal nerfed. Oh, okay. So in that part, well, but no, but it was always like this. Wait, what do you mean? Wait, no. You could always do this from the start. You could always trade your crafts. No, I mean, Chris knows that there are all these things you can do in terms of crafting and sharing things. Just like Temple? Yeah. I mean, maybe we just need to be, I don't know. I don't know. I don't like having it on the, I mean, I think, okay, so this, actually, if I had to guess, I think that they're not itemizing it because they want to get rid of it. this game now. We'll slowly like transition over to this. We'll like finish up the talk here. But I actually have a long night ahead of me, guys. Because I'm not going to bed. Grim and I are besties though. True. Did you get anything new out of this podcast? I did.